Okay, here we are. This is tutorial number 11. And if you've stuck it out this far, good for you. And good for me, because I'm doing something. Something consecutive. Something in a row. My shirt is terrible. Can't really see it. It's a Pig Destroyer shirt. It was yellow. I don't know what I was thinking. It wasn't black. That's what I was thinking. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna get started. We're gonna talk modeling a guitar. Because I'm a huge fan of death metal, thrash, whatever, that kind of music. And so the cartoon I've been working on has been doing it in 2D, so I'm going to do it in 3D because I haven't done it in forever. A long time ago, I made the Les Paul. I mean, this is like in college, so it's forever ago. I made a Les Paul, and it was Zakk Wylde's guitar. With the circles. It was like I don't know what you call it. Consecutive circles? Something like that? Donuts? I don't know. Taurus eye? Tauruses? Many a Taurus. Many a circles. Um, okay, so today we're going to pick. But I think I've picked for you. So let me go to the desktop here. Desktop. Oh, that's not desktop. This is a desktop. Okay, so when you're choosing something to model, there are a lot. I mean, like, if you're just doing this for fun like I am, I don't have a boss. I mean, I have a boss, just not for my fun projects. I can just work on whatever I want. So it came down to two guitars. If you like heavy metal, maybe you know about the Flying M. That is the Municipal Waste guitar. It's pretty cool, and I picked it because it's really unique. Okay, it's got I mean, the Flying V, it's got that V aspect to it. But it's well, first off, it's huge, right? Um, but it's unique, it's different. And then we've got so that's municipal waste, and then we've got the Jackson Warrior 7 string guitar. And it's really sweet looking. It's got some fun curves in it that I thought I found this nice outline piece. Um, but it's got some nice curvature to it. And I thought the more we work on curvature, the more you can get an idea. So, like, there's a curve here, but then there's an extra curve here. And you have to lay that into the other. And I thought we would maybe do this one first, at least. I'm fine with doing both of them, honestly. This one doesn't have the inward curvature or the inset curve here. And so we'll actually start by just making the outline here. But we can go much further and much, deeper in the model. We can pick different finishes. We could pick different like fretboard, this little artistic flair here. Um, we're gonna need things like the Jackson logo. We'll pick that up later. Um, Maybe the signature here. Just a bunch of different stuff. So anyways, I thought maybe between the two, but the more I think about it, the more I want to do the Revocation. That's the name of the band. Uh, Dave Davidson, I think is his name. The more I want to do Dave Davidson's guitar because I just feel like it's got some really cool features to it that this bit of curvature, this is the one I'm talking about. This inside, almost like a chamfer on the inside. It's got just a nice inward curvature. And for this one, for this one, it's not going to be as many smoothing groups as it's just going to be fine tuning our uh, fine tuning our turbo smoothing capabilities. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but it's going to be a lot more valuable because you're going to learn some stuff. You're going to learn some different stuff, how to make some basic shapes, how to tweak those shapes. And then there's a lot of cool, just before we get started, I know I'm talking it up. Uh, there's a lot of stuff we're going to have to research here. I don't even remember what this is called. I don't play an instrument. I know these are pickups. I don't know what pickups they are. I know this is a fretboard. I don't know what fretboard it is, but that's where we can kind of pick and choose also. There's different details and even some bits to keep the tension. We'll do the back. I definitely want to have this panel here that we can work on, and that gives us an opportunity to make these really tiny screws. And it looks like we've got some holes, some indentations that we'll need to worry about. We'll have to make these. Springs. And we'll just see how far we can go. It's not going to be perfect. Um, I'm not sure if this. I'm not sure if this guitar is one piece or two. Honestly, it looks like one big piece, doesn't it? Some guitars are broken up. Some guitars are just one enormous piece of wood. So we're gonna figure that out. But we're gonna start with the body. We're gonna do the body today, okay? So hopefully I didn't bore you too much with this little speech here. So let's pop open our software. Okay, let's just get started. Okay, so we need to make a new project, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go down to project and say create default. Okay, this is where my stuff is. I guess you can look at my directory. Does it say my name anywhere? I don't know. So I have these folders on the desktop. I'm going to yank those off there. So I'm just going to right click and maybe I can cut from here. No, I have to go to my desktop. So let's just go to the desktop. Let's all go to the desktop and let's steal this Jackson WR7. So we'll just cut this off the desktop. So what's really important, the reason I got these photos, by the way, the reason for this is because you need as many reference images as possible. Okay, because there's so many details, there's so much going on that just you're not a very good artist if you are not constantly trying to understand your subject. If in fact you're trying to copy a subject, you can be a great artist memorizing a bunch of stuff, but we want this to be accurate. We want this to be as close to the real thing as possible without having to buy the real thing and measure the hell out of it. So we will be Googling some dimensions eventually. We're not going to do it today. Like I said, we're just going to get the body shape. We're going to do it two different ways. And then we'll go from there. And I'll do some research in between so I don't waste a bunch of time like I am now with you guys. So body. And let's get these images. Like I said, we're cutting this off the desktop. This is my folder of images, just reference images of the actual guitar. I'm gonna go into my network, but I'm actually gonna go over here so you can't see my network. I don't really think it matters. Actually, no, it's local. I have all these projects local. So let's go to my default folder that is on my drive. Where is that? Okay, that is on this one, local projects, and it's my 3D Max folder. And so let's just make a default folder here. Okay, so we're just going to call it whatever the name you want to call it. I'm going to call mine WR7, Warrior 7. That's what it stands for. Okay, so now I'm going to double click this. It's going to say, this is the folder I want to select. When I hit select folder here, it builds a big folder structure for me. I still have that folder in my cut paste. So if I right click here, I should be able to bounce to this folder now. And in the folder, we'll talk a little bit about this, what it builds. Okay, so I set this default project. Okay, when you set a default project, like I said, it builds all these folders. These are your AutoBack. These are where your materials are stored. It's a bunch of folders that are where your project is going to default the save location for things. So if you've got materials, you can save them here. If you've got, what is it called? UV coordinates that you've unwrapped, you can save them in these folders. If you've got reference images, you can go into Scene Assets, Images, and just paste that in there. So now we know where these are. These are in that folder, my Scene Assets, Images. I mean, you could break it up further. Eventually, you might want to do the material by hand or something. Then you can, change it into a PNG folder or a PSD folder. Just organize them the way you would. But this default file structure is going to save you a bunch of time because you're going to know how to direct to that folder when you change projects. So if you followed the projects before this, in this drop down up here, or you can set the project by going to File, Project, and then, Project, and Set Active Project. Now you can set to, like if we were working on the phone stand, you could go back to that one, but here's your recent projects you can switch to. But there's a shortcut right here. It's very nice. It's just the shortcuts to your folder. So when we created that default, we are already in the WR7. Okay. So we're in the WR7. I'm just going to save this now. So watch where it's going to go. It's going to put me right in the WR7 scenes. So I'm just going to say guitar. It's going to call it guitar. Okay. Or let's just call it guitar part 1. Underscore part 1. So I will go each part with you guys. So this is just the body first, okay? So let's zoom out here, but let's also get the image that we have in here. So I had one image that really encompassed the entire guitar, and it lined up with the axis that I want to work on. So it's this first one here. I can post these on my website if you want, but if you just look up, I think it's Jackson Warrior 7 string, and arrange the results by size, like get the biggest size you can. This is the first result, which is perfect. Now we need to find out the size of this image so that we can put it, actually if we open up details here, it is 1176 by 3200. Now I'll show you a trick here. Control Alt T. There we go. This is going to stay on top for a sec while I make the object so I can remember what those are. Okay, so let's create a plane. This image plane we're going to create in the front view. And we're going to do that here so that it lines up with our viewports down here. Okay, so I want to make sure, now that I've created that, I just clicked and dragged. I want to change my length to what is it? 1176, because that is the guitar height. Or sorry, the guitar going across. Or height. Oh, geez, I might have it backwards. All right, so let's put them both at 1176. 1176. Let's go back up to the other one. I think it's taller. Yeah, it's taller. So, do we get it backwards? Do we have length and height backwards? So, 3200. So, we're just doing this so that our resolution on this image, when we scale it down, so let's zoom way out here. Okay, so I had it backwards. My mistake. So let's make this one 3200. 3200. And the other one is 1176. So anyways, like I said, we don't need the exact dimensions. What we need is the scalable ratio. Okay, so if I scale this down, I scale down quite a bit, so it's around the size of my grid down here, okay? Because I don't know the exact dimensions of this guy, but I do know when I drop this image on here, I want this image to be the same size, right? So let's say I drop this on here. I'm just dragging and dropping. Like, what if it was a lot wider, right? So let's bring up the width here. Like, if I start modeling it to that, that's not right. Okay, so I want to make sure that the image resolution that I have right here, which it's taller than it is wide, matches up with my image plane. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this guy. Control Windows T. And let's undo this so it goes back to the right size. Okay, so now let's open up our layer editor on the left here, and then let's make a new folder. We have this layer. Sorry, we have this selected. So when we say new layer, it's going to drop this image plane. I call this image plane. Image plane. And I'm going to call this front reference. Okay. And now, like I said in the other video, I don't like that I can select it when I'm working on something. So there's a trick for that. Okay, so let's embiggen this guy here. Alt W will blow this up for you. Okay, so if I hit this freeze button, what happens? Well, I can't select it, which is great, but now I can't see what was on that image, right? So let's unfreeze that. And let's select it one more time. Right click and go into object properties and turn off show frozen in gray. Okay. If we do that and now we freeze it, now we can't select it, but it's still there. We can still see it. Okay. So that's great. But there's a cool little trick. If you do need to move this, which I do, I want to move it up. I don't want it halfway down the home grid. I don't want it going into the negative. You can select it here without having to unfreeze it, and then you can move it up. So I'm going to select it right there, and I'm just going to slide it up, like right there. All right, good for me. Good for me, good for you. Okay, so I have some shortcut keys over here. Told you what they do. Most of these are my navigation tools. They're located on the bottom right here. Okay, I suggest you get comfortable with those. Zoom extents is just getting close to all your objects. So if you only have one object there, like I do, it's just going to bring you to that. If you don't have any objects, it'll bring you to the home screen. So Z is your shortcut for that. It just gets everything right back in the center for you, or whatever you have selected as well. So remember to keep your hands on Z. Alt W to embiggen the viewport like this guy. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for your edit poly menu, or 1 through 3 for your edit spline modifier or editable spline object. Okay, so we're gonna make this two different ways real quick. Okay, we're gonna do the editable spline extrusion first, and then we're gonna do the poly modeling of the body second. Okay, and we're doing that two different ways, just as an example to say, hey, you can do this a bunch of different ways. I'm sure you could even start with a box. We could start with a plane. We could start with anything. But we're going to go to the front here. And we're going to turn off, so going to where it's display settings, turn off wireframe override. Let's bring this down here. And let's just embigulate this screen first. What I would actually do is just move this back a smidge so that when I drop let's just draw it on top first. Sometimes when you draw an object, it interferes because it's laying right on top. So I'd want to move the reference image back just a smidge. But let's just focus on the body here, and let's just start drawing lines. We're a few minutes in and we haven't even really done anything yet. We're 18 minutes in and we're just talking. That sucks, right? So let's just start making some stuff. Okay. So creation panel, spline. All right, let's start with a line. First, let's just follow this basic shape, and then we're going to refine. Okay, so what we could do is just go there. We could go there. We could go there. We could go... we could make a bunch of points. We could even curve them if we want. But I'm just showing you how we can refine. So this is how I'm doing it, okay? So I'm doing this, and I'm just picking a halfway point there where the curve is. And then I'm just going to go here and then straight across. And then halfway down there and drop the last one right on top. Close spline, yes, please. All right, now this isn't very visible, is it? So let's change the color to like green so we can see it. Can't really see that, can you? No. Okay. How could I make this more visible? I suppose I could just turn this on so you can see a surface around it. This is not how I'll leave it. It's just so you can see it. Okay, so you can see the shapes I've made. So you can always turn that back off right here. It's just It's just in principle so you guys can see it while I'm modeling it. Okay. So let's go into vertex mode. Okay. Now you can see the dots here, hopefully. Let's get in and start revising these points. Okay. I mean dots by vertices. So, so what we have here is we have corner vertices, okay? And I can tell you that because when you right click, if I right click, it gives me the options here. You've got Bezier corner, and smooth. What we're looking for at a point where they meet is a corner, okay? If we put a Bezier corner here, we're going to get two handles. Okay, you got a handle here, and you got a handle here. I don't like that. I just want a corner here so I can Bezier this vertex here. So let's say I don't have this first. So let's just pretend it's not here. Let's just delete this. I don't think, and then let's divide it. So then let's say I didn't do this halfway point. Let's select this edge, or sorry, this spline. So hit 2, go into segment, and then hit divide, okay? Or is it divide? It is divide. It's right here. It's going to put a vertex right in the middle, or point right in the middle. Now we got this point right here. So, oh yeah, you got exactly where we were, right? Okay, well instead, drag it here, right click, and let's say Bezier. Now these handles are going to be stuck together. So now I can kind of work on how I want these to line up. So as you can see, it's not automatically perfect, so I might have to break the handles. You can break the handles by holding shift, okay? Notice how the handle on this side is going to be different than the handle on the other side. So let's grab this other handle here. And now we actually have a corner Bezier, okay? Because they are not lined up anymore because we technically broke that handle. So we can line them back up just by saying Bezier. See, now we're back real close to where we were. Now we have that nice Bezier and they're not broken, okay? So we got that nice curve here. And of course we can adjust that curve a little bit, kind of estimate where that's going to go. You could make your thickness, you don't even have to have thickness on yours. I have it on here so maybe you guys can see it. Okay, but not necessary. Okay, so I feel like this handle is good. It's good for now. I mean, we could maybe move this over a little bit. We'll have to consult what the back looks like for later, but I think I like that. Maybe a little bit more like that. I don't know. We'll just get muddled and it'll take forever. So we can come back to it. If we don't like it. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. Now, instead, if we didn't, let's say we didn't draw this vertex here, just delete it. And again, we can go into edge or segment, sorry, and then hit divide. And it's going to put in that vertex or that vertex. Yep. There's different words for everything. And let's bring it in here and let's do the same thing. Okay, so let's line up these edges. So notice the green down here is lining up real well. Maybe this one down here. And now with this one, we might just be able to like fillet. A fillet is a rounded chamfer. So if you click fillet right here on the right hand panel, if I can shake my mouse here, there we go. Fillet is right there. Okay. So if you have fillet selected, click and drag and then pull and then look. Ooh, we just made a really good curve right there. Okay. Instead of it being a single vertex where we used a Bezier, this is a chamfer. So this kind of works in another way. No way is right, no way is wrong. It's just a different way of doing the body right there. Okay. Now, something I noticed right here is it kind of looks like it's a little rounded, maybe. See how this curves a little bit right there? So let's maybe add a little bit of a curve, okay? So it pops out. So let's put that vertex right there. And let's do one of these. So let's divide this again. So I went into edge, line mode, segment mode. Sorry, all right. Segment, spline, vertex. Vertex, segment, spline. I got to remember that. With edit poly, it's always edge, and it's vertex, and it's element. So anyway, so if we put this, oops, don't move the whole thing. Just grab that vertex there. And you can shift, I think, between one, maybe it's F1, I don't know. But the keyboard shortcuts on your keyboard, it's either 1, 2, 3, or it's Shift 1, 2, 3, or it's F1, 2, 3. I don't know. You're going to have to figure it out. I don't know. Actually, let's figure it out together right now. What if I press 2? Oh, there it is. 1, 2, 3. See that? How it bounces between them? Perfect. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. So I'm just going to dictate your moves. Hopefully you do them at the same time. Okay, so here we go. Hit 1, pull this guy out. Maybe move it down just a little bit because we got kind of the curve. Looks like it's a little stronger over here. Then we're going to go with the Bezier. We're going to grab right here. So if you click in, okay, so this is the y-axis here. This is the x-axis here. If you click here, just on the Y, and then try to move the handle to the right, you can't do that because when you click an axis on this gizmo, it locks you to that axis, okay? So, but if you click in this square between here, it's going to lock your gizmo, or sorry, your rotation of that handle to that dimension, okay? So if we kind of bring this up a little bit, get a little bit of that curvature, maybe bring it down a little. That's maybe a little bit too much. We just wanted a little bit of an arc. Just a little bit of an arc. Because I feel like there's one in there. And I don't want to miss any details. There we go. Okay, fantastic. Now this curve is a big one, and it's offset. This body, by the way, is not a symmetrical body. So that's something we're going to have to consider quite a bit while we're working on this. That this isn't a symmetrical body. It's not going to be something that we can just cut in half and flip over. There are parts like maybe the neck. The neck we can definitely make symmetrical, and it could be two objects. But this body here, it's not symmetrical. So we got to be real careful that we get these curves nice, and we maybe make some backups just in case, because you never know what happens. You might accidentally get rid of the stack. All manner of things can happen. 3D Studio Max is kind of a jerk sometimes in that things don't always work the way you want them to. Okay, so let's do the same thing we did last time. So we got this vertex here. If you don't have one, go to segment. Remember, I know what the name is. Click that segment and say divide. Okay, then hit 1, select that vertex, and let's move it somewhere in the middle here. I'm going to kind of pick this side because I know the handles will kind of it'll do better if I move it over here. But in case they don't, let's just put it over here. And let's right click and let's say Bezier. Okay. So all of a sudden we got this crazy curve. All right. So if we try to get it perfect, it's going to be a little jerk-ish. So let's just try to get half of the curve right. This one might need extra vertices because this curve is it's a difficult one. So maybe we'll just do 1/2 and then divide up the other half. Now, it looks like we should probably add in some more vertices. So let's do this. Let's fillet this guy. So again, on the right here, trying to get that. There's a fillet button. Let's click that fillet button and let's drag this out. Okay, so now we split that into 2. And we are going to adjust each one of these so they kind of round this out a little bit better. And if we need to break this into a Bezier corner, we can do that. But it looks like if we just kind of grab it and twist a little bit, we'll be all right. So let's go and pull, that one's covering it up a little bit. So let's pull that down right there. Maybe move this guy down just a little bit. And let's move this all the way over here. Just kind of work the curve till you know where it lays in. It will take some finagling. There's no like, I didn't do this before, so I'm just kind of guessing on my background doing this. And it looks like my vertice, my vertex, isn't in the place it needs to be anyways. So I should probably get that figured out too. So let's just let's be good with that. And let's come down here and let's fix the location of these guys here. So this one is not in the corner. So I kind of pull it away and let's say that's the corner right there. And let's check this guy. And that's the corner maybe right there. Now I want to check my reference images now. So let's grab this. Let me check my reference images here. And I want to make sure that that's a flat edge. So this guy right here, this edge, this segment, I want to make sure it's flat. So I'm going to go through my reference images. This is that image, but it's not as easy to see in the viewport. So if we go down here, see, this looks like it has a little bit of a curvature to it, like somebody maybe sanded it because it looks like it's made of wood. Let's check maybe one of the other ones. This one too, this corner. It looks like it has just a little bit of a roundedness to it. And maybe that's something, yeah. So that looks like a nice smooth rounded bit. And it looks like we might have to decide between a body that is sharp, like more sharp, versus one that's kind of got some roundness to it. Because this one that comes up in my reference images, one looks more plastic and one looks more wood. But yeah, like this one has a nice finish to it. Maybe it is wood. Hard to know. We're definitely going to want to maybe round that corner, round these corners here. But maybe not round them until we get the body into an editable poly. Okay, so I wouldn't want to like start rounding these edges too much as an editable spline. Okay, so let's just add this guy here. Let's divide that. So hit 2, and then select that edge or that segment, hit divide, and let's go back to 1. Let's pull that out, and let's Bezier. And let's add that little bit of a nice, soft, round curvature to it. Kind of maybe too much, not enough. Yeah, it's good enough. All right, and let's get this other one just about done. So we can do what we did in the other one and kind of line up these edges first. Oh, this one's tougher. Let's make sure we have this top one synced up to the corner. Yeah, see, this one's not synced up to the corner very well here. So this one looks like a straighter edge. So if we drop that there, and we drop this, let's go right there at the corner there. This one's a little rounded here. I don't know if I want to add that in right now or if I want to wait, but it does seem a little bowed out here. So let's just do that. Okay, and let's do that same thing up here. Let's go with the divide. Oops, did something wrong. I think I hit delete. There you go, divide, and then hit 1. Pull this out for that little subtle round Bezier. Just like that. That looks good to me. Okay, and now let's do this other one down here. So this looks like it's nice and rounded here, as opposed to just being so edgy. But let's do this. Let's get this in the right place first. Let's go with here, maybe there. maybe there. And then let's... this might take a few extra because I want that nice rounded look there. So, all right, so let's go here. And let's do the fillet. Let's click and drag. Let's get that to about there. Right click to turn off the tool. And then, do we Bezier that handler or we just kind of push it out? Let's just kind of push it out. So let's hit 2. Let's put a, let's divide that right there. Let's move that out. Like that. And we might even be able to get away with a smooth here, but let's go with Bezier. This might be nitpicky though. Like, it's such a shallow curve, right? Like, it almost doesn't matter because it's so shallow. And you know, the warping of that might even just be the camera. So let's undo that. Let's just get rid of that. That might just be the depth of the camera and how it kind of bows out a little bit there. Yeah, that one's tough. That one's tough. It's hard to know in all cases where, you know, unless you have a really good lens where you've taken out a majority of the depth of your shot. It's really hard to know if you have some shallow bowing or curvature, or if it's just the camera. Okay, so let's also grab this. And we're going to divide because this looks real straight right here. And then there's a curve. So let's divide that. Let's put that there. In fact, we might Bezier corner that. Or we could just merge them. Either way, I think that goes straight till about right there. And then if we Bezier this guy, let's just see what this looks like first. What if I Bezier that as well? Just so that they hold together and that line is straight. Like that. So I scaled it this way so that instead of the handles going out, I could just pull them together equally because they are on that tangent. And then it looks like this curve is pretty solid. Might want to move it down vertically just a smidge. Right there. All right. And let's fix this one. This one's a little janky over here. I think this curve is big enough where we should really, yeah, because it's not snugged up here. So this curve is big enough, we're going to break it into 2. So let's delete that. Let's do what we did again. Let's go to edge or segment here, divide. Let's go back to 1. I'm sure we could just hit refine and add a vertice, but I like doing it like that. So there's a couple different ways to put vertices in. That's the way I like to. There's a refine button. You should know if you're in, where is it? Refine. Yeah. So if I'm in vertex mode, I can just hit refine and I can click and add them in there wherever I want. But for some reason, I go back to vertex or to segment and I divide because I like to know that I can get that vertex at a halfway point between that segment. So just hitting refine, it's going to throw it in wherever. But if you do, if you go to segment and then hit divide, it's going to put that vertex right between perfectly, halfway point between that segment. Okay, so let's do this again. But let's get a better. So I think this is down here. I think that like swallows underneath. It goes into the neck. So let's just. So here's a trick to make this flat because we can't use the align XYZ tool here. So what we can do is we can select this segment and we can scale it down in the Y as much as we want. So now this is totally flat. Okay, before it was up a little bit. And you could tell because if we scaled it the other way, it goes that way. So if you pull down, it'll do it. But you can also turn on your snap tool. And if you want the vertex on the right to line up with the vertex on the left, you just use the snap. Make sure that your vertex snap is on. So if you right click, make sure vertex snap is on. Okay. So that's just to align things. If you're anal about it or you just care about how accurate it is, I wouldn't even call it anal. You want to be right or what? All right, so let's move this over a little bit. All right, let's pull this guy down, and then we are gonna, what are we gonna do? Okay, we're gonna do a Bezier corner, and so these are gonna be different at first. So let's do this. Let's maybe put that there. And we'll line that one up like so. Let's grab the other one. Let's make this big whoosh. Now the whoosh, it's just not whooshy enough. So we need to add some, we need to add a vertex in here. It's just too much. It's too much for a single, vertex to pull off. So we're just gonna fill it again. We're gonna click and drag, and then we're gonna kind of get these halfway in here, and then we're just gonna eyeball them into the right place. Okay, so this one, let's just fix it up a little bit. Just make sure it kind of follows this dark edge here. Looks good to me. And then let's grab this guy. And let's move him kind of over this way. Okay, so this is this tangent on this is equal, so it's a little messy. We can scale it down or pinch it in a little bit like that. Maybe move it down. Maybe it goes like this. And like that. It's getting warmer. There we go. And that looks good to me. Now, if this is too much of a curve, you could Bezier it again, or sorry, you could fillet it again if you want. But that is up to you. Now, something I'm noticing up here is that this guy is rounded. So let's click the fillet button here, and let's do one of these. Now, that fillet isn't right, because if we move this guy out of the way, you can see, let's just see what that curve looks like. So this is kind of straighter, and then it's like a gradual soft curve there. Okay, so let's, and this looks like it should actually come down a little bit, honestly. Like the point is maybe right there. And maybe move this guy down just a little. It's all about refining. This is going to be your base shape, so don't worry about going a little crazy. Okay, so we've got this part needs to be shaved off. So let's refine. Let's do that this time. So let's hit refine, and we're going to add a vertex here and a vertex here. And let's Bezier handle this guy. And let's get that shape. Like maybe like this. And so if we want to break this handle, hold shift and then pull one side. Okay, see, notice how this one side is changing and the other one isn't. So I did that, and then now that the oops, don't want that. I accidentally put in another one. Okay. So, if you get an extra one, you can just delete it. It's no problem. All right, so I'm going to move this down a little bit right there. Maybe bring this one out a little. No. There we go. That looks nice. And then now this one doesn't line up, so we can just see it later. Now that's maybe a little bit off, but we can go and maybe pull it right there. Maybe let's make this one a Bezier so the handles are together again. And then let's just tweak it again like that. Maybe pull it out just a little bit. There we go. All right, if we work on that all day, we're going to go crazy. So if we Bezier that and then we put it back to a corner, it should put it back in the tangent so it's rounded right. Okay, let's take a look at this. Let's actually turn off our background, our front reference plane. And let's put this line in a separate, on a separate layer. There we go. Okay. And we'll just call this body. Cool. Okay. So let's turn off that front image and let's look at this. Okay, so we have, excuse me, burps, just ate dinner. Okay, so we have a vertex selected. Let's deselect that. There we go. Okay, we have this, it is adding geometry, like we're creating a rope or something. So if we turn that off, you might not be able to see it very well. So just enable in viewport, turn that off. Can you guys see that? Can I see that? Yeah, I think I can see that. It's just tough when there's a white image behind there, right? Okay, so let's flip this image on and off a couple times. You know, I think it looks good. I think that we might need to look at the back. We need to look at the back because my neck, so if you look here, my neck, to get that curvature, I put this cutting in, but if we flip this on, notice how this curvature stops and then it goes into the neck. I don't know what the back looks like, so let's take a look at the back, shall we? So let's close some of these other folders here, desktop folders. Okay, so we've got a back picture here. Okay, so this actually is great information. So it looks like this point to this point is one big U. Okay, so we might want to just make that. We might need both, in fact. So we're going to want to hang on to this line that we've created. And let's just make two. Let's make two versions of this. And yeah, this is pretty handy. I'm glad we looked at the back because this, I mean, this remains, this spot here remains flat. But then that big arc, I'm trying to make this bigger, sorry. So this stays pretty flat here. You could probably put like a straight edge here. But then the curve comes in and it just goes all along this backside, right? That's a big swoop. But the way we built it is that it stops here. So actually our curve, our shape should go like there to there. So let's do that. We'll just keep ours, we'll just make ours crooked. So let's refine. So let's go into edge or vertex mode here. Let's hit refine and let's put a vertex right there. And let's just, can we make this one an edge? Or sorry, let's make this a corner. We might have to revise that a little bit. Let's delete this guy. Okay. And now, let's go like this. So we might want to keep this just as it is. Let's work that curve a little bit into the body there. So that one doesn't match up perfect, but that's okay. When we actually start poly modeling it, we can get that shape where we need it to go. Maybe bring it down to like there. Maybe bring that back a little bit. This is just, we're getting a little anal about it. But, I want it to be perfect. I don't want to have these issues. And then let's make the back. Okay, so we're going to duplicate this guy. And we're going to make the, what do you call it? We're going to make the other curve where it goes and swoops. Okay, so we'll maybe connect that one to this one, and we'll keep that swoop shape along the back. So let's check out that picture one more time. Yeah, lines up till about there, the bottom of the curvature. So maybe here. And then it swoops back up. All right, so let's duplicate this. Let's change the color. So let's hit Edit, Clone, and Copy. We don't want an instance because what will happen to one will happen to the other. Okay, and let's make this one red because it's the back one. And we're going to use the vertices that are still there. Okay, so this one is, let's just call this one back. So let's call this body back. Body back. And let's call the other one body front. And I just use the, what do you call it? The layer editor here to select that real quick. Body front. There we go. Okay, tra-la-la. Now, what do we got here? Body front, body back. Let's do the body back. Let's get into the vertex mode here, and let's pull these guys down and make the arc. So let's finish the arc as if it's one big, what do you call it? One big swoop. And we're going to actually use these because if we use the same vertices, we can use a cross-section and surface modifier to smash the two together. And that will be super helpful. Okay, so let's bring this guy down. And let's bring this guy down. Just like that. And then let's start building this up. Let's actually just do corner here. And let's just try to make a swoop. It's not going to be perfect, but we'll get there. So let's do, okay, let's think. If we put these two together, they're coming from there. Let's check the back again one more time. You know what we could do? We could just Control Shift. Let's do that. There we go. This is going to stay on top for us here so we can kind of figure out the shape we want while we're working on this. Okay, so let's move over here. Let's continue this. Let's give it the Bezier handle there. Let's try to follow that curvature there. Bring that down. Let's make this one a Bezier. Let's make this one a Bezier. Okay, I like where these are. Might not be perfect. I didn't plan this, but the back calls for some. Let's reset the tangents on this one so we get a better equal swoop here. So I just want them to line up with the vertices from the other. let's isolate that one. Hmm. Hmm. Doesn't look right, does it? If we were going to do this, we would flip this the opposite way. Hmm. It looks like this needs to be more continuous. What we'll do is we'll do this. We're just going to delete these. Let's refine. So how many did we get rid of? We got rid of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Okay. So we can just do this by, let's delete these 4. And let's grab this. Well, let's just refine. We'll just add one right in the middle. Now let's pretend we're going to make one awesome swoop. Just so we can get the swoop first, and then we'll worry about adding the other verts afterwards, okay? Because we want to line up. We need the front shape to have the same amount of vertices as the back, or it's not gonna extrude very well, is what I'm saying. Okay. So that looks kind of good. Might not be perfect. Pull it down a little bit, but now we can fillet this guy. Let's separate it like that. Maybe like that. And now let's fillet these guys. And now we have the 4. There. Okay. So now we have just as many vertices, and we can get rid of this guy. We have just as many vertices on the front shape as we do on the back. Okay. So let's bring this guy back. Let's bring the other shape in. And that one looks like it dips down more. All right, so we got to redo that. That was wishful thinking. Okay, so let's undo that. We've got to get that shape. So let's refine one more time. That side didn't match up at all. Okay, let's try it again. So we're going to get closer like that. Might have to break this tangent here, just so we can not overlap on the top side there, like that. I think I might have added a vertex there. Yep. So just delete that. So just double check that is under. And then we will reset these tangents so they work in unison. And they are one Bezier instead of a broken handle. Okay. All right. So right click that and then say Bezier. And now it locks those together. So now if I move one side, it's going to move the other. Now when I do that, I do this, I'll go crazy with it. Now if I want to go back, say I hate the movement I'm doing right now, just right click. As long as you have it held down, it'll go back. Okay. All right. So I think that's good. I think I like that. I could do the fillets now, which I am going to do because there are 4 vertices. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to make sure this has as many as that one has. And we might have to reorder them. I'm not sure. So we'll do that. Oop, nope, let's not do that. We're going to get them halfway. Okay, and now we'll select these 2 and we'll do it again. Just so we have the same amount of vertices in both. Awesome. There we go. Okay. So now we have the front curve and the back curve. And technically, we could extrude them together with a cross section and a surface modifier. All right, so let's go into the 3D view. So Alt W for you shortcut people, you should be shortcutting. And let's focus up. Hit Z so you can focus on those shapes. Okay, so let's off-center them, or offset them like to here. We need to turn off enable in viewport. We don't want the 3D surface here. We just want them as our like creation lines. Okay, so I'm gonna guess this thing is like 2 or 3 inches. So I'm just gonna go like that for now. This might not be how wide they actually are, but it's fine. Okay, so let's duplicate these. Okay, why am I duplicating these? I'm duplicating these so I have backups. Okay, so I'm gonna say okay, and I'm gonna work on the original, or I'm gonna work on the new one. So I'm gonna hide the original, body back, body front. And so I'm gonna add one to the other, and then I'm just gonna rename that like combined body, combined lines or something. Okay, so first, here's an example. Okay, so let's just isolate this guy. Let's say we didn't have any advanced curvature on our model. All we need to do right now is say extrude. Okay, where is it? It is extrude right there. And bring this up. And oh my God, we have a guitar. It's done. Oh my God. No, it's not. No, it's not. We just extruded the surface. Okay. Not too fancy. We could do it with the other one if we wanted to. Right. So let's undo that. Let's bring up the body, the other one. And we could do the same thing. We could just say extrude, and then we could pretend like we're done. Extrude. And then bring up this. But we are not done. Okay, because we're fancier than this. We're better than this. Okay. So let's just leave that, and or let's get rid of that, and let's combine the two surface, or the two lines, and we will extrude, or we'll use a surface modifier. It's like extruding, but it's a little fancier because we've got differences in our surfaces, right? Like the front and the back have 2 different shapes, right? That back shape has to be different than that front shape. So anywho, so let's do, okay, we're going to hit the attach button, and we're going to select the other body piece. Okay, so now we got 2, and they are 1. They are now 1 piece. Okay, so what I want to do is rename this immediately. We'll just call this body combined. So just so we know what we're working on here. So get rid of front and just type in combined. And this is just for our benefit, right? And now, let's just make it a different color. Let's go with like bluish. There we go. Let's do a cross section. So in order to extrude between surfaces, or extrude between splines, you need to do this thing called a cross section. And when you do that, you'll see these lines that go across. Okay. Now you're thinking, oh, those ones are a little bit off, but that's okay. We can fix them when the time comes. So now, so this would be the front, which is actually the back. So we'll need to swap those around. But now that we have a cross section on it, this is where we can drop a surface modifier. And look at that. Now we have that crazy difficult part. We actually need to flip it, flip the normals. There we go. See, the inside was black and the outside was blue. So now what we can do is we can kind of rearrange how the vertices are, and it will update the surface for us. So if we want to get the most out of a surface modifier, because let's take a look at ours, and then let's take a look at this image here. Let's get the other one. Where was the back image? That one's good, but this one's better. So if this is our back, oops, and it looks like we need to flip ours. So what we could do is we could go back into line. Oh, let's bring that picture back up. Sorry about that. Let's make sure that's on top. There we go. Okay, so let's go to segment here. We could show the end result, but let's grab that front segment and let's do that. Oops. Make sure you have segment selected. There we go. Now let's go to surface and flip the normals the other way. And now let's look at it so it lines up like we had intended. Okay, there we go. So I'm thinking that looks pretty rad. It's pretty close. I mean, we need to build in the neck, obviously, here. But, you know, for a short amount of time that we put into this, we got pretty far. You know, like we were just building the outside. Now I wanted to do this with poly modeling too, just to get, well, let's just real quick. Let's just add editable poly. Let's go like this. And let's cap these two sides. And now we got the makings of the guitar. Of course, we are nowhere near finished. We do need to fix this neck, but I think we're going to work on that next time because we do need to get a shape for what a neck is. I don't really know the shape of the neck, but we're going to have to massage this smoothness here, right? Because this comes up real nice, and we're going to have to do that to ours. And that's the beauty of 3D modeling. But before we abandon, I just wanted to get this piece first. I want to do it in, let's see what it looks like with our with edged faces here. It's going to be a lot. Nah, it's not too bad. And we can remove a lot of these, and we can kind of massage the vertices in the right places. So, you know, this is not bad. This is a great start. I think we'll be able to go places with this, but I would like to do this in poly real quick before we're done. So we might want to fix the lines here just because, but maybe tomorrow, not today. One step at a time, guys, okay? So let's get rid of this. And let's just let's hide it, and maybe we'll put the body, let's just put this in, let's make it like spline body or spline, and then we'll make a poly version. Okay, so let's type in spline, and then let's put body in there so that body and body combined are in there. Okay, and then let's make a new and let's call this one poly, P-O-L-Y. And let's do the same thing we just did, okay? Except instead of starting with a spline, let's just go with a poly plane or box or something. I don't know. We'll start with a box. I love boxes. Okay, let's turn the spline off, and let's get our image plane back up, and let's start completely over. How's that sound? Exciting, right? You wanted to start over, didn't you? Okay, so this is essentially 2 lessons in one. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't do this. 2 lessons in one. Huh. Maybe we'll just, yeah. Yeah, okay, let's make that a separate video. We're already at an hour. I'm sure you don't want to sit through that, and this might be better for organizational purposes, right? Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, we're going to close that. Let's bring our body back up, and let's just have a couple more, let's 5-minute discussion about where we're at with this and what we could do to make it even better. Okay, so let's go here. Let's do one of these. Let's talk about our image of the back. There we go. And let's talk about the back of ours. Okay, so let's get rid of everything else. So let's get rid of the image plane. Okay, so some of the things that we're gonna have to figure out is maybe some halfway points. So we could, knowing that this surface and cross section modifier is just, if we add another body in here, um, oops, we want this one. Nope, it's a bug on my thing. Okay, let's get rid of some of these, like the edit poly. We don't need that because we can come back at any time. So the cross surface and the surface modifier, or cross section and surface modifier, you can see that these lines are off center. That is because we are dealing with how we adjusted those vertices, right? So let's say we wanted to line that up. We could turn on our snapping tool. We could snap it to that front one right there. Just make sure it's snapped to height. Bring this down. And it went down quite a bit below, so that we had that sweet curve. Now, we would have to play with this quite a bit, and then we'd have to rearrange these other ones here, right? So that we'd want to snap these to the same axis here. Let's do this one while we're at it, so that they line up. This is so we can get a horizontal line that lines up with this one, and then we got to bring that down quite a bit. So if we did that, and then, we got to shrink these. We got to shrink these, what do you call it, handles here quite a bit. And this probably comes down even more. This is for you to play with. I will have our solution tomorrow, because it's just hand-eye coordination and getting the shape that you want on the backside. And the shape we want on the backside is just that curve, right? We just want that curve to be uniform. Actually, I'm just doing it right now, I guess, when I'm talking. You just want this curve to be uniform so that it matches that U shape on the backside here. And this might be where you need to break. So you could just right click and say Bezier corner. Just make sure you work that guy like that. And maybe select that guy like that. And maybe work it up and Bezier. Oops. And then Bezier it again so that it kind of locks them together. Yeah, so that's something you could do between now and tomorrow if it's something you want to work on. Otherwise, we'll just keep working on it tomorrow. But I want to do the poly version tomorrow to show you that there's two different ways to do the same thing, and neither of them are wrong, because in the end we're going to end up making this thing a polygon anyways. There's only so far, unless you want to get into NURBS, which I don't, that you can get the outcome that we're looking for. It's just better. We could do OpenSUBD if we wanted to also, but it's just better for us. Let's change this one to Bezier corner as well. Yep, Bezier corner. It's just better for us to convert everything into polygons and go that direction. NURBS are kind of a pain in the ass in 3D Studio Max. I don't like them. I don't think the tools have been updated in about 15 years. Which, who cares, I guess. If you like it, you like it. So let's check that curvature. That curvature is okay. It's not great, but at least these segments line up in the right, they're not crooked now, right? So they're just straight. If we check it in the front view, so Alt-W, check it in the front view. Oops. Went to zoom. We could flip the normals just so we could see the blue here. Let's go to surface. Let's say flip normal so we can see. And, let's just turn on edged faces. Yeah. We'll just do an edit poly modifier just because. And those curves are looking a little bit better. These ones are a little wonky. You could fix those up when we get to poly mode. But again, we'll just cap both sides. Just say cap. Oops, we need to, let's undo that. We can't do that because we swapped the normals on that, just so we could see it in that one instance. So let's go back to this guy. Notice the inside is a great color in the outside. Not so much. Okay, so let's do that. Let's flip normal. Now let's do the editable poly. There we go. And then let's cap both sides. You can do it individually, or you can just grab them both and say cap. They are separate vertices. It doesn't really matter. And you might not even need this many steps here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. I would do half of that. Or I would just make sure that there's a center line. You could probably get rid of 2 of those. And then we'll start working in the neck from there. But I think I'm going to conclude it there. I think this is pretty good for a start. You know, it's not the best because we still need to really refine some of these corners. And in fact, we might have a little bit too many vertices here, or too many edges, and we can get rid of those. I mean, that's a really easy thing if you're an editable poly. Just double click one of the sets of edges here, hold Control, and hit the remove button. And then voila, edge removed. Fantastic. You might have some extra vertices that you'll have to deal with, but you can, target weld those if you'd like. But, the shape is there, and that's what's important. The shape is there. So I think this is a good start, and I think this is a good place to leave it. Let's go back into look at my face mode. Look at my face. Look at my face. Look at my face. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. Again, why are we looking at my face? I'm looking at the model too. Jeez. I hope this is helpful. If not, make it a different color. Look at that. Piss yellow. That's for you. That's a gift. No, I hope it's helpful. I hope that helped you get the idea of the base shape that we're going for here. And then we will actually refine those edges tomorrow, but that is, or maybe the next day. Tomorrow we're going to do the poly version of this. Oh, look at that. It matches my shirt. Oh, you can't see because I black and white. Yeah, I did black and white so you couldn't see all the crumbs. I spill. Who's immune to spilling? I just get so excited when I eat stuff. But yeah, let me know if this is helpful, or if it's not. Jeez, if this is a horseshit, sorry. If this is a terrible tutorial and you know a better way, tell me, because I've been doing it wrong for like 20 years. I might be doing it wrong for 20 years. Like I said, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. So this is the way I've been doing it, and then we'll refine the shape, and we'll see if I know what I'm talking about. So that's it for today. Making a guitar, making the what is it? The what the hell is it called? Warrior 7-string, Jackson Warrior 7-string. The band Revocation. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so boom. There's me again. My stuff. You know what to do. If you like what we're doing, come back for more. If you don't like what I'm doing, don't ever come back again. Or come back again and tell me I'm awful. I don't know. Pick something. And then if you want to see my cartoons, how I throw away my time when I'm not making tutorials for you, just go to Barbaric Melons. I'm on all the platforms. It's not rocket science. You know what you're doing. That's about it. You have yourself a day, evening, night, or morning, whatever time zone you're in. Take care.